All right, good morning, superstars. You have some homework answers up here. I'm going to ask you to do any checking, so you can pause the video, let students check. Here are some more answers. If you notice, again, translation is just sliding it around. You can pause the video to check. On this slide here is talking about the rules. Remember the rules, you got to start at the pre-image and move to the image. So what we have up here again is just at the top, looking at one single actual point. And then in the next section there, you've got your moving around all of them. Let me see if I can get my pointer option going. You can pause the video again. And then we've got some awesome solving equations to get you a little bit more practice continually throughout the year. Again, solving equations are going to be the #1 skill you need to learn. All right, you can pause the video there. All right, so you should be having your math notes out now. So if you don't have them out, please do so. You need to get your math notes. You need a pen or pencil, and you need a highlighter. The highlighter is especially important for when you actually get your worksheet. You can pause the video for students to get their supplies. All right, so if you remember, we did our translations on the previous assignment. Again, that was sliding it around. Reflections, we're actually going to break it up into 3 days because reflections are the second to most challenging transformation for students to be able to complete. But the overall concept students get because they know what mirror images are all about. So reflections, again, is like when you're looking at yourself in the morning, in the mirror, getting yourself ready. Again, our objective of the day is I can reflect an image about a horizontal or vertical line and write reflection rules. So again, that's day 1. Then we're going to, again, increase the level of difficulty. We've got a total of 2 days of notes, and then a 3rd day of just a little bit more practice. And then we do have a quiz review, and then eventually a quiz coming up. All right, so again, we already talked about translation, so our goal now is reflections. You don't have to write that part down because, again, you have it on the previous slide of information. But again, we're going to be filling those out as we are working throughout Chapter 2. All right, a reflection again. To flip across a line to a mirror. I prefer the mirror concept because, again, as we already shared, you guys have experience with the mirrors quite often. So for example, if you notice you have a vertical line here, we're going to say that this is your pre-image because the arrow is showing us that it's moving over here towards the right. And again, it's not just sliding it over, so it doesn't look the same, it looks reflected. But the key thing is it is still a congruent triangle. Again, on translations and now on reflections, you're going to have a congruent image, which again means the exact same image, shape, size, not necessarily the orientation of the actual image though, because again, it is a reflection that we have going up. But again, the pre-image moving to the image, always super important, especially when you're talking about the rules. So go ahead and label that accordingly. Remember, if you feel like you're falling behind, you have the notes online, you have the video online that you can always catch up with, or you can communicate with your partner and get some pictures sent so that you can complete your notes. We have what is called, again, the line of reflection. That's the one that we're going to be using for our highlighter. So if you have your highlighter, go ahead and highlight this line of reflection. In fact, when we actually do the assignments, I'll help you on a few problems before the class is over, is we're actually just going to go ahead and draw right away with the highlighter. So again, you got to be really careful, make sure you know and realize which one you're actually highlighting. I like to say it is equally spaced or balanced, or as it says there, it's always in the middle. So that means the distance is equal. So let's say, again, when you're counting your boxes from the highlighter to the pre-image, highlighter to the image, again, it'll be the same amount of boxes. So maybe 2 boxes on each side, maybe 3 boxes on each side. So essentially, I'm going to show you when I do my counting, I start on the pre-image. So I count my boxes. So let's see, maybe 1, 2, get to my highlighter, and then I need to reflect it. Again, that's going to be 1, 2. Maybe it's only 1 box. Maybe it's 3 boxes. It really doesn't matter until we actually get to our true problem. But notice where it says there, the line of reflection is always in the middle, equal distance. All right, we've got a few types of reflections. Again, I'm going to help you specifically on your actual assignment as well, but want to make sure that you get this down so that you can hopefully understand it. Now, again, this might be a great resource for those of you who have a note card, might be able to fit some of those on your actual note card for your assessment. All right, so when we see our homework and it says reflection across the y-axis, we've got our original image. What we are going to do is take our highlighter and we would highlight the y-axis. So again, with your pencil right now or pen, you should be sketching this, and then you're going to highlight the y-axis. Now, the thing real easy about this one is the y-axis is already labeled with that little y there. But some students, again, they work a little too quickly and they accidentally highlight the x-axis. The y-axis, again, is that vertical one. Then we're going to have reflection across the x-axis. When we do it, because again, we'll look at them in just a moment, we would highlight the x-axis. Again, x-axis is already labeled, so that's what we would highlight. So those are the 2 most basic reflections, the x-axis and y-axis. Then there's going to be some problems that ups the level of difficulty, where you're going to have a y is equal to a value. In this case, it says -1, or maybe x is equal to a value. Now, the key thing about these ones, again, is trying to find your actual line of reflection. And I'll give you some hints on how we do that in just a moment. But again, we're looking at the 4 different types for today's lesson. So again, the most basic is x-axis and y-axis, and then we up the level of difficulty for y equals and then for x equals. So make sure you get those copied down, and then we can continue. So go ahead and notice if any students need to pause the video for them to catch up. All right, welcome back. So let's see, what are we actually going to do on the x-axis and y-axis? Again, we're going to take our highlighter. Make sure you got your highlighter. And we're going to look for the middle, again, sometimes called the median, especially when you're learning about driving. The median was also within data sets. Let's see here. For my y-axis, with my highlighter, I would literally highlight the y-axis. And then again, we would try and count to see how many boxes we are from the pre-image to the highlighter, and then we would reflect that on the other side. So for example, each point is going to have a letter. You're going to go ahead and count highlighter, count new point, count to the highlighter, count new point. And then the third and final one, count to the highlighter, count new point. Now remember, when we have the actual letters there and we need to make our new point, we need to use our prime symbols. We'll see that on the actual homework problems in just a few minutes. But if you mirror it, it would be on the other side. Again, it is the reflection. So you're going to notice that it was originally in quadrant 2, now it is in quadrant 1. All right, looking at the x-axis. The x-axis, again, we would actually highlight the x-axis. Remember, it's originally in quadrant 2, but when I count to the highlighter and I reflect it on the other side, it would be down here, which again is called quadrant 3. We count to the boxes, to the highlighter, and we reflect it on the other side. Again, the pre-image becomes the image in its new location. Again, it is still a congruent triangle. It is still the same shape, same size, but again, different location, different orientation, but it's congruent. All right, Those are the most basic ones. 3 and 4 there, as it's listed, y equals -1. So this is what I like to do. I like to have my pencil or highlighter, right, in the origin, but don't make a mark. That's just where you're hovering, and it says y equals -1. So if you remember from your counting on the x-axis and y-axis, specifically the y-axis, y equals -1, that is down 1 box. So move down 1 box and go ahead and put a little highlighter dot there. And then you ask yourself the question, do I highlight horizontal or vertical? Now, if I highlight vertical, then that means I would be highlighting the y-axis. And on this specific problem, it doesn't say y-axis. So instead of highlighting for this specific problem vertical, I'm going to highlight horizontal. So those little dashes there just help with the orientation of the counting. Again, I like from the origin, count down 1, that's -1. Don't highlight vertical, that's y-axis, so highlight horizontal. So that means for each point here, at least starting this one, it would be down 1, 2 boxes. Reflection, 1, 2 boxes. Same thing here, down 1, 2 boxes. Reflection, down 1, 2 boxes. And of course, this one's going to be a little bit more counting, and you'll see that a little bit better on your actual homework problems in just a few. And it now has a good reflection. It is in quadrant 3, but again, it's a little bit lower than what this one was on problem number 2. But again, y equals -1 and x equals 2, those are the ones that are a little bit more complicated, not the most basic. All right, so our counting for x equals 2 would be put your highlighter at the center, don't make a dot. X-axis, again, is left and right. Since it says x equals 2, that means right 2 spaces, 1, 2. Put a little highlighter dot there. Then you need to decide, are you going to highlight horizontal or vertical? Now, if I highlight horizontal, that would be highlighting the x-axis. It doesn't say x-axis, it says x equals 2. So that means I'm going to actually highlight vertical. So on your homework, you would find the 2 on the x-axis, put a little dot, decide which direction are you going to highlight. Because again, today we've got horizontal and vertical highlighters. And then you count your boxes again. So let's see, it would be 1, 2, 3. Reflect, 1, 2, 3. So again, on the other side of the highlighter. And that's key because some students, when they're doing the reflections, unfortunately, it is not on the other side of the highlighter. So make sure you're very careful there. Again, it's just another form of counting today, but we need to make sure that we are counting in the correct way and the correct direction. All right, so this is how we're going to set up our actual homework problem. So again, just observe, it's on the video, but we're going to do some homework problems in just a moment. So you've got your triangle, it's in quadrant 2, you've got all the boxes, you've got some good numbers there. Again, you do not have to copy this down, just observe, please. Reflect across the y-axis. So step number 1 is correct highlighter. It says y-axis, so that means I'm definitely going to highlight the y-axis. Then I practice my counting. So from A, I want to reflect, so it means I want it on the other side. And then remember, I want it A prime when I actually make the point. And I'm going to have it equal distance for my reflection. Because again, the highlighter line is exactly in the middle. So let's see. If I start at A, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Highlighter. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. New dot. Label A prime. Let's see, is that in the correct order? Yeah, 4, 4. Now, we wouldn't actually make those marks on our actual homework. That's just the counting, and that's why we're doing it in notes. So for B, counting to the highlighter, 1, 2. Reflect on the other side, 1, 2. So 2 spaces again, 2 spaces again, new point, B prime. So again, key thing is counting same distance on each side. And make sure you label it with B prime. So it means the last one, we have to do C, so we're going to be able to label it as C prime. So let's check our counting here. From C, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means on the other side, the true reflection would be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 second as I get that light going. All right, so again, 5 and 5. Then I connect the 3. Please use your straight edge as you're doing that to help you guys out. So again, it is truly reflected across the y-axis. So what we're going to do right now, again, is actually some true problems together. So make sure you have your straight edge, you have your highlighter, you have your pencil, because again, it's the assignment. So I'm going to ask our superstar sub to go ahead and pause the video and pass out the worksheet. And then once everybody has everything good to go, we will resume the video and look at some homework problems. All right, let's see if I can find. There we go. All right, so the assignment you have in front of you again is put the number at the top, name at the top, but it's Reflections Day 1. So one thing I always ask my students to do real quick is to actually take your highlighter and highlight a bunch of stuff just to get ourselves started. Now, the easiest ones, again, are the x-axis and y-axis. So take a moment and highlight x-axis and y-axis. Go ahead and scan through the assignment front and back, see if there's any x-axis or y-axis for you to highlight. Again, those are the most basic ones, highlighting the x-axis and y-axis, please. Checking both sides. Some of you got them. Looking at 5 and 6 and so on. All right, then we're going to look at the next level, which again is the ones that have y equals numbers. So again, we're just kind of doing the pre-work, if you will. So let's see, on number 3, it says reflect across y equals 3. So what I said on the notes part was to actually go ahead and start at the origin. On y equals 3, I'm going to count on my y-axis, and since it's positive, I'm going to count up 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. Put a little highlighter dot. Ask yourself which way you're going to reflect. Are you going to reflect, or sorry, draw your line horizontal or vertical? Now remember, if I draw it vertical, that's the y-axis, so I don't want that. Let's see if they'll let me undo it. That's silly. All right, so again, it was here, and it was not vertical, sorry, and it has to be horizontal. So for the other one, x equals 3, that's from the origin. I would be counting right 1, 2, 3, little highlighter, dot. And again, I can ask myself, is it horizontal or is it vertical? If it was horizontal, that would be left to right. Since it's not x-axis, I'm going to make it vertical. So once you have a bunch of your highlighting done, you're going to go ahead and then plot your points. So let's go ahead and try number 3. So I got my pencil ready. So if you notice for H, and again, it doesn't matter which one you start with. If I go for H, then that's going to be counting to the highlighter. That's 1. So reflected on the other side is also 1. So I put a little dot there, and I label it H prime. Do the same thing for E. I'm going to go ahead and count 1, 2, and then reflect is 1, 2. Put a little dot, label E prime. Now this one is the best one that students really like. Since I is on the actual highlighter line, we just make it a little bit more visible, and then we can also mark it with I prime. Because again, if it's already on the highlighter, then it does not have to move. because the distance would be 0. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and take your straight edge and go ahead and connect them to make your new triangle. But remember, it is a congruent image, same shape, same size. Excellent. All right, let's try number 4. For number 4, same concept. Let's go ahead and try to reflect. Doesn't matter which one you start on. So again, if I start on V, I'm counting to the highlighter, reflecting on the other side. Doesn't matter if it's the x-axis, y-axis problem, or y equals 3 or x equals 3. You're still counting to the highlighter and then reflecting on the other side. So let's see, V is 1, then on the other side is 1. So I put a little dot, V prime. C, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 1, 2. Put a little dot, label C prime. E, 1, 1. Ooh, very nice. Pretty easy for us. E prime. So when you're ready, again, take your straight edge, connect them. Again, all we're doing is counting. And if you notice, some of our designs are going to overlap, and it actually makes it really easy for us to grade on quizzes, because if students don't have the correct overlapping, unfortunately, it's automatically incorrect. So again, you want to be very careful as you are doing your counting. So what we're going to do next, again, is look at just a few extra problems at the back. So everybody go ahead and turn to number 16. So for number 16, again, we are going to go ahead and write our rule. Our rule starts with the word reflection. So what we're going to do is take our counting skills, and remember, you're always going to start at the original V and move to a V prime. So I'm actually going to grab the highlighter. So what we're going to do is count. So let's see, V is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 total spaces, but remember the highlighter has to be in between. So let's see, it's 1, 2, 3. So put a little highlighter dot, because again, equal distance, so half of 6 is 3. Then you got to decide, are you going to highlight horizontal or vertical? Now, if I highlight vertical like this, does that make all the other points also equal distance from each other? Like H is 1, 1, B is 0, 0. Looks great. So we're going to go ahead and write our answer. We're going to say reflection across. Now remember, this one is not x-axis or y-axis. If you notice, it does touch the x-axis though, so we're going to say x is equal to. And then starting from the origin, x is equal to, well, that would be right, 1, 2. So reflection across x equals 2. So again, you got a lot of counting today. Make sure you're using your highlighter. Remember, if you have any questions, you can ask your partner, you could ask us to try and help you guys out. All right, you guys got this.